Chiefs Kingdom, all chiefed up here. Round one is in the books on the NFL draft. So we've waited all this time. Been talking about the draft like crazy. Boil her up. Been talking about the draft like crazy the last few months. Like, here we are. First round's over, Mike. Just straight up, how do you feel about it?
Dude, what entertainment. Tonight was like the epitome of primetime entertainment. Brett Veach didn't disappoint. He traded up the board. I thought he's going to trade down the board, but he didn't have to. He got in my opinion, a top 5 to 6 edge rusher in the class. I think it drastically falls off after Karlaftis. So good that we snagged him. Trent McDuffie, he said that he wasn't even planning on taking McDuffie. So we were kind of right with saying, I don't think the Chiefs are valuing corner in the first round, but when McDuffie hit the free fall, they said, man, that's a top 10 player. Let's go get him. So kind of proved a lot of people right, telling us we were idiots and we wasn't going to take a corner in the first round. But, I'll take it. I'll take the idiotic. It's like a half idiot thing, half like victim of circumstance. But yeah, I think McDuffie was a killer pick and I'm pumped about it. And George Karlaftis, I think we all know how I feel about that. Like I loved Karlaftis.
Yeah, I think the Karloftis pick kind of helped me with the whole situation. Absolutely disgusted to take a corner in the first round. I'm not gonna lie. Uh, I don't see the point. I know it's a big thing for a lot of people in Chiefs Kingdom to go ahead and get a corner in the first round. So a lot of happy fans. Don't take that wrong. I think Trent McDuffie was tremendous value where we got him, and I actually think he's the second best corner in the draft. I think he's better than Stingley in my opinion. I think the only one maybe better than him is Sauce, but uh, I'm not mad at the player that was picked. More mad at the position. I just really fail to see uh, the value of picking a corner in the first round. But I don't run the Chiefs and I don't run an NFL team, so what do I know? Anyway, Karloftis came up at pick 30, and that did help because when you look at the big picture, to me, Karloftis is a fantastic edge rusher. Like I'm big on Karloftis, probably more so than a lot of you guys are. But grabbing him and then looking back at the value you got with Trent McDuffie, um, yeah, I'm good. I think I give Veach a solid B plus here in the first round. I think there were other moves that could have been made that were more beneficial, and I think that's why I was kind of down on the McDuffie pick, not because of the player, but because of the position and what we gave up to get to uh, a corner in the first round. I don't like corner in the first round. I still don't like corner in the first round, but I'm not mad at the results, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, so we've been saying from the beginning, to touch on it again, we didn't think corner was the biggest need we had. We thought wide receiver, we thought edge. Now, I do know that edge wasn't as deep in day 2 to 3, so they needed to take that, but wide receiver was pretty deep, and I think that's why they chose to pass on it. Corner, again, Veach has just said tonight that they did not expect Trent McDuffie to be there, so they honestly was not looking at a corner in the first round, I don't think. Um, the other day, I don't remember who posted it. It was on Twitter. Somebody mocked us. I don't know who it was. It was either pick 30, I think. They mocked us Andrew Booth Jr. And I kind of was on the all chiefed up Twitter. I kind of wrote it and I was like, hey, look, I don't think we take a corner in round one. I don't think it's something we're gonna do. And I had a
Boy,
lot
were
of
you wrong.
yeah, well, I had a lot of heat for it, but what I was trying to get at was I did not like the value of corner at 29 and 30. Like I did not think Andrew Booth at 29 or 30 was worth it.
No.
Just like with Veach, if you tell me I get Trent McDuffie at 29 or 30, I take it. If you have to trade up to 20 to get McDuffie, obviously they took it. There was a guy named Jimmy U-Turn on Twitter. He was talking to me. He's kind of giving me hell over it. And he basically said I didn't know nothing, because what do you know? The Chiefs, they've took a corner. They don't take corners, blah, blah, blah. Like he was giving me down the road, but I did write him and I have the receipts to back it up. I wrote, yes, I'm just going to say if we decide to take a corner in round one, the only guy I would strongly consider would be Trent McDuffie. I think he'd be an instant top 5 nickel. And the reason I said that is because we all thought Trent McDuffie was going to be a top 14, 15 pick at worst. And here he is sitting on the board in the early 20s. And it's like, well, at that point, McDuffie's a steal. Go get him. If you wasn't going to get corner, this is your chance, you know? So
Yeah.
not not trying to say I'm not wrong. Like, yeah, I'm obviously wrong. We did value a corner enough, but at the same time, we were kind of right. We didn't value the corner so much, but we valued that corner that much. Does that make sense?
If McDuffie wasn't there, we weren't going to take corner in first round. No doubt
Yeah,
about it.
that's kind of how I
Like
feel. Now,
the people
people are
that
gonna
thought we were going to take Booth, like they're dead wrong. That guy was not worth pick 29 or 30. And I
he
don't
didn't he
like I
didn't
said,
even go in the first round. He
right.
fell
And
the first.
like you were saying, I don't think that we really valued corner high in the first round, but I think when McDuffie fell to where he did, the value was too good not to take. Granted, I'm not a big fan of trading swapping picks and giving up a third round and a fourth rounder. I'm not a fan of that, but I still think all in all, especially getting a little bit of boost from getting Carl Loftus there at 30, I still feel like a solid a B plus on the first round for Veach. But I mean, it could actually be higher than that because it's probably be more fair to give him an A minus, maybe an A even because of the value that he was able to get. Because if you really look at it, Karloftis, I think Karloftis and McDuffie are top 11 or 12. They're in the top 11 or 12 picks of PFF's big board, both of them. And
Didn't PFF have George Karlaftis in like their top 5 to 6? I want to say
yeah,
he's like number 2 or
yeah.
3.
Well, I mean, personally, I think I had Karloftis above Jermaine Johnson. And I also, you know, I'm not a big fan of the Trayvon Walker pick early. I don't think that he really showed enough on tape to warrant that. Now, I'm not saying he's bad. He's an athletic freak and everything, and he obviously has the potential to become like an insane edge rusher. But I mean, just from what I saw in the scheme in Georgia and stuff, I just felt like that was a little crazy for him. So actually, if you really look at edge rushers, I think the only one I really valued more than Karloftis would have been uh, Thibodeau and Hutchinson and Thibodeau. Those were the two that I valued above Karloftis. So I think I had Karloftis in my third spot, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm trying to bring up my big board here. I just wanted to share a few things. But you know, we I don't want this to come off as, trying to rub it in or just trying to like
You're getting
toot
ready to
my own
brag.
horn.
You're gonna
I don't,
humble brag.
I'm gonna humble brag, but it's only for the sheer fact that we're a new podcast. We're new kids on the block. We've been here for what, 2 months,
Yeah.
maybe.
And we've been told how stupid
And
we
dude,
are by several people. So
every day you're just two idiots that decided to talk about Chiefs football, and they're
yeah.
right. We are two idiots that talk about it, but we've been lifelong fans. We follow the teams. Like, I dig in. I do not get paid, but I spend 6 hours a day researching draft and watching film and doing things. And like, nobody tends to want to give nobody credit. They just want to be right. But this is what I want to say. And if my big board, I had Trent McDuffie as my number 9 player above Derek Stingley. I honestly thought he was a top 10 value. And so when Veach come up to get him, I told you, I looked at you right there and you said, "Is this Jermaine Johnson?" And I said, "It could be, but don't rule out Trent McDuffie." And what did you say? You said, "Please God, don't."
Yeah. I mean, like I said, just the thought of wasting first round, especially trading up in the first round on that position, the corner. I am not a fan of that at all. Let's get that straight first and foremost. I think that corner should have been something we were looking at in the third round of this draft, at the very earliest. And here we were trading up in the first round. Jermaine Johnson's still on the board. I'm like, well, we're going to go get our edge rusher right now. And I wasn't opposed to, I'm not a big fan of Jermaine Johnson either. I mean, I think he's good. Don't get me wrong, but I'm not a fan of trading up to get Jermaine Johnson. But at the same time, where they were at in the draft and they only had to, trade up a few picks to grab him, I wasn't going to be mad at that because I was thinking, well, maybe they're going to grab Jermaine Johnson here and then turn around and get maybe Pickens or Sky Moore or a receiver piece at 30. And I wasn't mad at that. But when a cornerback got thrown into the mix in the first round, obviously great value, great player. Not doubting that whatsoever. And I'm not mad about that. The cornerback pick in the first round really threw me for a loop. I was a little flustered. I think Mike put that on Twitter, but I was kind of frustrated that we wasted a first round pick and traded up to get a corner. And I'm still kind of on that hill right now, slowly sliding down. But I think what really helped me out was the Karlaftis pick. Absolutely love it. I think as far as edge rushers go, you couldn't ask for a better edge rusher in the position that we were in the draft because the edge rushers are not deep in this draft. Like once you get outside of the first round, maybe early second round, eh, it gets a
Yeah.
little hairy. So I mean, as getting Karlaftis right there at 30, that's a steal in my book.
I think Karlaftis was the last upper tier before you had to go to Mafa and Ebiketie, and I do believe there's a drop off.
I
But
think there's a common misconception that, oh, you've already seen everything Karlaftis can do. Karlaftis is 21 years old. He hasn't played football very long, and he's already an absolute beast in his position. His ceiling is high, guys.
dude,
As
he's
much as you guys want to think that, oh, we've seen everything Karlaftis can do, and you see what you got, and that's what you get when Karlaftis. You could be wrong because I mean he could have a very high ceiling. No one gives him credit for that. But I mean, like I said before, a long time ago on this podcast, guys, I think that George Karlaftis, you're seeing his floor right now. I don't think he gets any worse than he is now. You're looking at his floor, and his ceiling is probably JJ Watt ish. Like maybe not that, crazy to be like, oh, he's gonna be like JJ Watt, but I mean, he could reach close to that level. I
yeah,
mean, don't you think? He kind of plays with the same kind of like power and dry, like high motor, and he kind of reminds me of the White brothers a little bit.
yeah, he's got that, and they say he don't have a lot of burst, but honestly, I went and watched film. I was watching film on him last night. I watched him play against Minnesota, and he comes around the corner and they chip him, and he closes on the quarterback. He closes 6 yards in a second and almost knocks the dude's head off. And I'm like, that's speed. Like, what are they talking about? But
Yeah,
what's funny is Karlaftis, I had number 24 on the big board, but we did our predictions, if you all noticed last week, and I actually said, even today again, Chiefs are going to take Karlaftis with 29 or 30. He's going to fall right there. Everybody said I was crazy. I challenge anybody to find another Chief podcast or another Chief talking head that predicted George Karlaftis at 29 or 30 to the Chiefs. And please send them our way, because I think we may be the only podcast that put it out. I'd be willing to say, and not to
yeah,
be bragging again.
yeah.
It's not a
Whatever.
brag.
Toot
It's not
that
a brag.
horn. Toot the
I
horn.
just I just want people to take us a little seriously. I know we're the new guys, but I mean, come on, this is the eye-opening thing. Like, hey, Mike put on Twitter that we're going to take George Karlaftis, and we did. Mike throws on Twitter that I don't think corner's a need, but if we do, it's Trent McDuffie if you can somehow get him, and that hit. But what was funny tonight, what I wanted to say earlier before I tooted that horn, is dude, when
Toot,
that trade
toot,
come
toot.
in, yeah, toot. You better have so many train horns in the background, Steve. Anyway, when that pick come in and said Chiefs traded up to, what was it, 21? We
I think
looked at
so.
each other and we said instantly, we were like, Jermaine Johnson. We were like, I bet Kylie Manning from Kingdom Cast that was on the show a few days ago, she said she wanted Jermaine Johnson, and
It's the
that's the
one
one she
person she
wanted.
wanted. Yeah.
And we were like, oh my God, she's going to be so thrilled right now. And then when Trip McDuffie got said, I was like, I bet she's screaming. So we might need to check in on Kylie in a little bit. We might have to have her on the show to talk about that
Yeah.
one. That's a funny one.
I mean, wrapping up on the Chiefs pick specifically, like I said, not happy with taking cornerback in the first round, but overall, if you look at the value, we got two potential top 10 guys in this draft in the first round.
At worst, a
Yeah.
top 10 and a top 15.
Yeah,
So
exactly. So I think to be upset about what we picked would be silly. I'm not mad about it. I just don't like taking a corner in the first. Now, like I said, I'll stand on that hill for now. But you can't complain with what Veach did here. Both guys are 21 years old. They're both young. They both have a high ceiling, and they're both proven. Uh, they're productive. They're good, and like they're now like they're gonna start. Like I
yeah.
think Karlaftis is gonna get right in the mix. And
So I mean, at the beginning of the day, if you said, "Hey, the Chiefs have 29 and 30," do you think you're going to come away with Trent McDuffie and George Karlaftis?
absolutely not.
Nobody
So
would have
so
said that.
if you think about it, kind of look at it big picture. Veach kind of pulled some Veach magic again. He had the 29th and 30 pick and got two top 15 guys at the least, top
Right.
15. I can't talk right now. I don't know if it's because it's late and it's been a long day.
Yeah, we've been up for a while.
Yeah, but I'm like struggling over here. But yeah, I'm not mad at it. I think it was good. Like I said, B plus, solid, maybe an A minus for Veach.
I give it an A.
It
I
could
think
be.
the only thing I
I'm
could
just
have
being hard on it because of that cornerback
the
thing.
only
But
thing that maybe could have made it better is if he didn't have to give up the third and the fourth, maybe just a third or maybe just a fourth. But to come up to get a Trent McDuffie, I mean, I'm sure New England was playing a little hardball on him. So it was either pay
right.
it or don't do it. So I
Well,
mean, I would rather take the player.
yeah, I think a lot of our listeners are going to be a little flustered that they traded up to take a corner as well. Uh, Maybe for different reasons than me. I just don't think corner was a valued position to get to use a first rounder on. That's just my opinion. I like guys in the third round in this draft. I like Cam Taylor Britt. I like Josh Jobe. I didn't feel the need to have to take one early in the first round.
I think
But
Veach agreed with you, didn't he? But I mean, McDuffie's a top 10 player. Like you can't pass that up,
yeah, he
right?
wasn't. I mean, they weren't planning on taking McDuffie because they didn't think he'd be available. So that wasn't even really
Exactly.
a real thought. So I don't think they were. I think they were literally on the same boat as me. I think they were looking to about the third round to start looking for cornerbacks. But when McDuffie fell to that past 20, I think they were probably like, guys, this is an opportunity to grab a top 10 player here. So I mean, you can't be mad at that. But I think a lot of our listeners and a lot of Chiefs Kingdom's probably frustrated that we didn't trade up to get the flashy wide receiver pick that they were really hoping to get. And they saw a trade up and they didn't get what they wanted. So I think that's probably where everybody's at right now. So you probably got a lot of people down on this, more so than there should be, because I feel you guys. I was a little about
He was.
I don't like the cornerback pick. I do not like a cornerback in the first round. But you just have to look at it as a whole, man. Actually, Veach probably killed it in this first round, just off pure value. So I mean, it's hard to be mad at. After that Karloftis pick, it kind of took a lot of weight off of it because I was afraid they were going to take, trade up and take a corner here and then take a random dud at 30. And I was just going to be like, man, what are they doing here? Like, we have all these needs and we come away out of the first round with or if they traded back, we come out of the first round with a corner. I wasn't too happy about it, but I mean, overall, great. I'm cool with it. I think it's great, and I think, like I said, both of them is going to be starters next year, and they're
Yeah.
going to produce. And I think it's going to
So
help. Our defense needs it.
okay. So I got a quick question before we start talking about maybe something we can look at in round two. Um, Chiefs Kingdom, we were everybody, Twitter, Chiefs Twitter, everybody, they wanted George Pickens in round one. He also didn't go to Green Bay as we suspected. So do we think that maybe his medicals didn't clear, or is it a character issue? Like what's going on? And what do you think about George Pickens? Like, is there a reason like you feel like he fell? Because I think it has to be a medical related thing if it's not his character.
I don't think it was either of those, to be honest. It very well could be. I don't think you're wrong by saying that, but I don't think that's why he fell. I think it's more just how the board fell. Because I mean, that's kind of where I had him coming up as the next receiver to be taken anyway. I think he was the next one after Traylon Burks to come off the board. And I think that the receiver stuff kind of got mixed up because I thought Drake London should probably be down there with Pickens, right around Traylon Burks and Pickens. But no, he was the first one off the board. So what do we know? But yeah, I kind of had Pickens going as a next receiver anyway. I wouldn't be surprised if he's not the next receiver taken off the board. The only one that maybe I could see going in front of him is if somebody wants to take a shot on Sky Moore or Christian Watson. But of course, Watson's butterfingers and his drop rate's unbearable. And then Sky Moore, guys, I'm played out on the 5'9" fast receivers. I'm ready to just switch that up and get like a big solid number one receiver like Pickens or somebody, give them a shot. Cause I'm, like I said, I'm just played out on that whole thing. But yeah, I think he'll be the next one to come off. So I don't necessarily think he fell of where I thought he would be at. I just don't think that the teams took receiver at the end of the first round. I think they had other positions of value over that. I think you saw that.
Yeah. So who do you think was the biggest reach out of all first round picks? And I think we all know who it's going to be. It's got to be Cole Strange and the New England Patriots, right?
I would argue that. I think that's a terrible, that was a big time reach, but I think Jahan Dotson going early to the Washington Commanders was a pretty big reach. Like,
I
didn't he?
think I think the most unnecessary was the Detroit Lions trading up to take Jamison Williams. Like Jamison Williams looked more disappointed than I did, the poor guy.
Do you blame him? I mean, like I literally put on Twitter, like, I feel bad. We feel bad for him because his career's dead before it started, and he has so much potential.
Hey, he had that beautiful red suit on. He would have looked so good in Chief Red, and then
Yeah.
Detroit has to run the party for everybody.
Yeah, I would say Jahan Dotson at 16 was a pretty big reach. I don't think it might not be a bigger reach than Cole Strange going in the first round. That's obviously got to probably be it. But I think Jahan Dotson was a pretty big reach at 16 because you got to think he went before Traylon Burks even went.
I think
And
the other big surprise in the first may have been Stingley going before Sauce at 3. I thought that was a
now,
huge reach on Stingley. And
yeah,
then I think Pittsburgh taking Kenny Pickett over Malik Willis. I think everybody thought Malik Willis was like their love child, and it did
I,
not happen. They took the
I
hometown
also
boy.
thought that. I also thought that they were big on Malik Willis, but we've discussed this before in a prior episode. We both think Kenny Pickett's going to be the best quarterback out of this class, so they probably made the right decision, to be honest. And I was actually surprised about it because I thought for sure they were going to take Malik Willis when it got to that point. Because actually, in my mock draft, I thought that the Saints were going to come up and go ahead and take Malik Willis. They got all them picks in the first from Philadelphia. So I was like, maybe they're going to come and try to get a quarterback now because they just got Jameis on a 2 year. And I mean, Jameis is Jameis. And I thought maybe they would try to double up there and get a, quarterback and turn around and get a receiver. But
I think it shows just how weak this quarterback class was, that nobody, after all those chaotic trades tonight, not one team wanted to come back up in the bottom of the first and get a 5th-year option on one of these guys. Not Malik
yeah,
Willis,
I
not
mean,
Desmond Ritter,
do you
none of them.
disagree? Do you disagree? Because I think this is one
No.
of the weakest quarterback classes that we've seen in years.
Yeah, we've said that. I mean, when Kenny Pickett's your number one and Malik Willis is your number 1A,
Yeah.
1B, it's not a good class.
And I know this is probably an unpopular opinion, but I think Trevon Walker at number 1 overall is a pretty big reach, in my opinion. Because, I mean, honestly, I think I had him going number 9 to Seattle. I don't think he is. I don't know if I put him in the top 3 edge rushers. Honestly, I think that I would have probably went Hutchinson, Thibodeau, and Karloftis all over Trevon Walker, just off of what I've seen on tape and everything. Now, obviously, I think that Trevon Walker might have a higher ceiling because he's just how athletic he is and everything. But yeah, I think that's a pretty big reach. I'm not so big on that, but I mean, I guess it's not that much different than taking Hutchinson first either. But I definitely didn't. I don't know. I don't understand that one, but it's very Jacksonville thing to do, right? So
Yeah. Okay, so let's wrap this up. But before we do that, what are we looking for in round 2 and round 3 on day 2? Like, do you think we maybe package up a couple more picks and come up and get George Pickens early tomorrow, or do you think we try to sit and snag him at 50, which I don't know if he'll get there?
I think it would be smart to. I think that would be a good move by Brett Veach and crew. I think if you packaged up a couple more of those late picks and just moved up into the first round, but I mean, really, he kind of put himself in a predicament doing that because he gave away a third and a fourth just to move up to get McDuffie. So now you're looking at you have 2 picks in the second round, 1 pick in the third, 1 pick in the fourth. So how can you get up to early second round from
You
50? Do
you
you do
maybe
you
have to give both seconds.
Yeah, see, and I don't like that. And I mean, I don't even like giving away the third with swapping picks and giving a third.
Hey, I'm telling you,
But
I think honestly they're not going to trade anymore because I don't think sevenths have any value. It's hard to use those. They're like 1 on the score chart. Like nobody cares about
yeah,
a seventh. So I don't think he gives away picks next year. And I mean, like you said, if somebody can come up a few spots and give a second and a fourth, but it's like you really want to give up your 4th rounder. So I honestly think he sits and drafts the rest of the way. And that's bad news because I don't think Pickens is going to get to us. I honestly would be surprised if Christian Watson gets to 50. I don't think Nick Benito's getting to 50. I don't think Logan Hall's going to get to 50. So the way this draft board shaped up, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean that's the only time. That's like I said. That's why I was kind of down on that first pick because like we just wasted a really opportune time to solidify a good receiver. Or, you know,
I mean, it's been reported, right? It was a third and a fourth,
why do we?
correct? I don't know if that's even true. I've not really verified it. So, I
No, I'm
mean,
pretty sure that's what it was. I think they swapped
okay.
picks and gave a third and fourth. And I don't know, man. Like I said, it's hard to argue with the value that we just got in the first round. It's hard to be down on it completely, but I just don't think that things are going to go in a favorable direction from here like it could have, because I feel like we could have turned around and got a corner later on. Maybe not as good as McDuffie, but I think it was just like maybe a little bit below McDuffie. I don't think it's going to be that big of a gap. And I don't know, man. I just don't like
Okay.
taking corner because we do need to get a receiver. I think we have to.
Right.
And it
So
would.
we have a second. No, wait. We have 2 seconds and a third tomorrow. So we got 3 picks. If Veach doesn't trade, if he don't do anything, if he sticks and picks, we got 3. What's 3 guys or 3 positions you'd love to see him hit? It's got to be receiver at 1 or 2 of those, I would think. Maybe
Have to.
double up on the edge, even. I don't even know. You might double up on the edge. I don't know.
I don't know, man. I feel like we're taking that cornerback in the first round really puts you in a bind, in my
I,
opinion.
it was a good pick, but you give up a
That's where I'm
lot
at
to
with
get
it.
it. You give up
That's
a
where I'm
lot to
at.
get it.
Oh, you got great value. Great. You got a good player. I understand that. But now you kind of, handcuffed yourself.
I honestly kind of wish he would have maybe give up a third or a fourth, and then maybe give up a third or a fourth next year instead of giving up both in the same draft this year. Does that make sense? Like I'd almost rather
Yeah.
lost a fourth next year than this year. That way I'd have still been able to maybe move.
I
But
don't know, man. Like I
I don't
said,
know.
it's just that position. I feel like taking corner in the first round really you really, handcuffs yourself on what can happen in the second, because now you're looking at you gave up 2 picks, so it's not like you have much to play with now. So now trading up to get George Pickens is probably
It's
unlikely.
probably impossible. Yeah.
Yeah, you just kind of screwed yourself out of that for a corner. Um, and then you're gonna sit. So if we sit at 50,
I don't even know if at 50 you can get Sky Moore to fall to number 50. I don't
no,
think he gets by the Colts.
no, you're getting second tier receiver now. End of story.
Dude, I'm telling you, I told you from the beginning, I really think they like Samari Torre. I know you hate that name because I've said it a bunch, but he was kind of like a our poor man's George Pickens. And I really
Right, but we
thought,
need the real thing. We don't need the great value brands right now
hey
because we need
man,
like a good solid.
but with our system, you never know what Andy Reid can do with some of these guys. Hey, we could still take maybe in the second. What if we snag in the second round, we snag a Calvin Austin at number 50, and then in the third, we take a Samari Torre? I'll be glad with those two. I would rather have those two than George Pickens by himself. I think those two bring more value than just Pickens by himself,
I don't.
especially if you're having to trade up to get Pickens at this point.
The Torre guy. What?
Samari Torre.
Right.
Dude,
What?
I
How
like him.
tall? How tall is this guy?
He's 6'3", 200 pounds. He runs a
Okay,
4.4.
that's what we need. We need something like that. I'm so sick
Right.
of let's get the guy that's 5 feet tall and runs really fast, because let me tell you guys, Tyreek Hill's the best one to ever do that in football by far. And it took the NFL all of 2 years to come up with a defensive scheme that put a damper on that.
Hey, we still got your guy out there too. You like Taquan Thornton? That's a possibility too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not huge on Tyquan Thornton, but I would
Hey
take
man, but
him.
he's tall and he can blow the top off of the defense. So I mean,
Yeah, I don't know where I'm at with the receivers in the second round. Like, I really don't. I think there was a lot of decent ones, but I feel like I was bigger on these guys if you got a good one up top. So, like,
hey,
if we would have took, say we would have got Pickens early, I was cool with taking Calvin Austin or somebody like that later on and seeing how that matches up together and everything. But when you didn't take a top receiver and you decided to go cornerback, now those guys don't look so good to me. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. Are you cool with maybe round two? Are you cool with like John Mechie or David Bell?
I
I
like
like those two
Mechie.
guys. I like
I'm
Bell
not. I don't.
too.
I know you like Bell more than I do. I'm not huge on Bell. I don't dislike him, but I'm not big on him either. I think I like John Mechie more.
Hey, Bell,
But
David Bell, let's get the running mate. Let's just go all Big Ten here. No, I don't
yeah,
know. I don't know what they're going to do, but I'm just saying there's talent. Like we have to let Veach and them discover it. I mean, I don't know. Maybe George Pickens does fall. Maybe his medicals have been a problem. He gets to 50. Who knows?
I mean George Pickens could be a big bust too. You never know. So it's not
Yeah.
it's not a big it's not like a something to
It's
lose
not a
sleep
lock.
over.
It's not a lock.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I mean, at the same time, I do like what he has shown, and it would be nice to, go a different route and try to get somebody that's going to be a true wide receiver one in the league, and not always have those in between kind of okay receiver guys. But you know what I mean? You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Because
Yeah.
I mean, with a trade up in the first round, to get the corner. I think what makes me the most sad about it is just the position. Like I said, if we were trading up in the first round, I thought we were going to trade up for a wide receiver, or if we were going to trade up to 20 there, I would have liked to have seen like a good solid right tackle or something like that. But I know Trevor Penning went, was it to the Saints at like 18, 19, something like that? I can't remember. I'd have to look at it. So I mean, there was no chance to get him, but was there? Maybe they could have. And I know a lot of people's not popular with that either. But I mean, if you were going to trade up to 21, maybe you could have traded up to 18 and took him and made your offensive line the best offensive line of football. Like, is that more valuable to get a corner than to do that?
Right. And we also, I mean, there was kind of a run on tackles. We even seen Tyler Smith go in the first round to Dallas, which, hey, I called that too.
Yeah,
Like, at first, I thought maybe he could fall out of the first a little, and maybe the Chiefs could maybe work some magic and get up and get him in the second because he's going to be a good offensive lineman, I believe. But just today, I told you, I was like, something tells me Dallas is going to take him. And you said, I don't know. They like those flashy picks. But I was
yeah.
like, hey, that Tyler Smith kid can play.
Well, I think the
And
flashy guys that they would have went with were gone already.
I'm
'Cause
really surprised they didn't take Jermaine Johnson. Wasn't he on the board?
yeah, that could have went. I think that I think they were big on Jordan Davis, like because he's been getting so much hype because of his size and his athleticism. I think they would have jumped all over that.
Oh, I think they would have jumped on a Traylon Burks too if he'd have fell. I
Or
think that
that,
would have
yeah.
been.
So yeah, I'm not upset. Not upset with the first round. I don't know where that puts us for the rest of the draft, though. I don't feel like that. We got great value in the first round. We'll give it a B plus to A, somewhere in that range. Great value. But did it set us up for the rest of the draft, or did it kind of hinder us? Because that's what I'm
We're,
worried about. I don't
yeah.
know how it's going to fall now because
Hey, we're gonna have to stick around and find out.
I don't. Maybe Veach will pull something out of his hat, and I won't be so worried tomorrow. But um, I think once we see how things fall in the early second round, that's kind of where I'm gonna start wondering about things. Because now, if they were to package up something somehow and come up and grab a receiver, whether it be Sky Moore or George Pickens or Christian Watson, even, I'd be okay with it if they did that. And I'd probably be like, okay, I see where they're going with this now. Like they got two top 15 guys that go on the defense and they turn around and now they've got a receiver that they think can come in and produce. So they've done the check mark, check mark, check mark in some boxes that we needed to fill. Right. But if they just hang around at 50 and then you lose out on all those receivers and you lose out on an edge rusher like Nick Benito and things like that, and then you're sitting there at 50 and you have a cornerback and an edge rusher, where do you go from there, man? And what's available? And you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah. Okay. Well, before we head off here, because it's getting super late, it's 1 o'clock where we are. We've been up all day long, but we're
yeah.
trying to get this content out for you guys tomorrow. Um, Last question, then we'll head off off here. I can't talk either. I'm starting to get to that point.
Yep.
Um, what's one guy you'd love to see us grab on day 2 or day 3? And we'll call it a day.
Nick Benito.
So you want to double up on edge?
Preferably, I'd like to see them get a Pickens or, I'm not big on Sky Moore just because of his size, but I wouldn't be mad at it. I wouldn't be mad at Christian Watson, even though he drops the ball a lot. Maybe he could get out of that because he's a big guy and he's fast and he's got all the tools. He just needs to catch the ball, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, if they could get a solid receiver in the second round, I'll be pumped. I'll be happy about it. But if we set at 50 and some of those guys are gone, I'd be cool if Benito falls and we don't take him. I would be upset.
Yeah. I think for me, I think I want to see maybe David Bell. I'm big on Torre. I'll throw that out again. I don't mind him. I don't mind Mechie either, to be honest. I kind of like what Mechie can bring, but I would
Yeah.
love to see Calvin Austin. I like Calvin Austin. I know he's not the guy you want, but I mean, I wouldn't be sad to get any of these dudes. But also on the defense, I wouldn't be surprised to see a JT Woods come off the board tomorrow for us, or maybe even a Channing Tindall. That'd be a nice little pick if you could somehow secure a nice athletic linebacker on day 2. Brandon Smith from Penn
Right.
State would be nice.
So, all right, before we wrap this up and get off here, I know we keep saying that, but this is really the last question I have for you. Um,
Okay.
does it kind of okay, so obviously the Chiefs could have potentially got AJ Brown for a first round pick, right? Because that's what happened with the Eagles. Um, but we had discussed this before. Do you think that teams are not wanting to deal with Kansas City? Like, do you think maybe Veach was trying to do something like that and they just they don't want to beef up Kansas City any more than they have to because like they're a threat and they just don't want to help them out? Do you think maybe there were some deals he was trying to make that were getting shut down and he just had to do what he had to do?
Dude, I've said that before, and people say, "Hey, you're an idiot. People will take a deal if it's a good deal." I don't buy it. Why
Mm-mm.
does Tennessee? Why does Tennessee want to give us a top 2 or 3 wide receiver? You know that they're going to have to turn around and beat to get to the Super Bowl. They don't care to make that deal with the NFC team. But as for Veach, if Veach got him, they're probably going to ask double what they asked the other team because they don't want to see him again. It's the
Right.
same way teams don't trade within conference. And it's, I mean, even, for example, if we kind of always talk about Debo, well, it's like, look, San Francisco, if they wouldn't give up the 10th pick and a pick swap with like the Jets, what was we going to offer?
Look, man,
Like, so that ain't happening.
San Francisco's delusional thinking they're gonna get 2 first round picks for Debo. What's the point? If you got AJ Brown for one, why in the world would you give up 2 for Debo? Like
Dude,
that
and AJ was what, the 18th pick? And
and
Debo was going to be the 10th, and he ain't even better than AJ Brown.
no, I mean Debo's good, don't get me wrong. And he might have been one of the top players in the league total, like offensive player last year. He was probably easily top 10. Maybe you could argue that he was a top 5 counting quarterbacks because he produced like crazy last year. But I don't think there's any of them worth 2 first round picks. I mean, if you couldn't get 2 first round picks for Tyreek Hill and you couldn't get 2 for AJ Brown, you couldn't get 2 for Devontae Adams. Why in the world would you give up 2 for Debo?
Well, especially Debo doesn't want to run the ball anymore. So now half his value's gone, half his production's gone. So it's
Yeah.
like, that's stupid. But yeah, to answer your question, I honestly believe people don't want to load the Chiefs up. They don't want to see us keep
Yeah.
winning. They don't want to see us build a dynasty, and especially AFC teams in general. They're just not going to do it.
Right. I'm right there with you. I think that there was probably some deals that Veach was trying to make that just got shut down. And maybe that's why he ended up getting a guy in the first round like McDuffie off of pure value. They weren't planning on taking a corner, and he even said they weren't planning on it, but they ended up with him. And I think that could have been because he was trying to make some other deals and they were getting no cooperation. You know what I'm
Well,
saying?
listen to this. We don't know how much truth there was to it, but we've been hearing for a week that we were talking to Minnesota about giving up maybe both of our first rounders to come up and possibly snag a Jamison Williams. And, where there's smoke, there's fire. So maybe that was in the works. But look, they let an in conference team with the Lions. The Lions are in the same conference, right? They come up and they let them have Jamison Williams and they trade back with their own conference, which is really weird. And it's like, what did they give? So then that kind of makes me believe maybe Veach wasn't trying to get up to get Jamison Williams because I believe that would have been your spot.
Right.
So I don't know. I don't
Yeah, I
know.
don't know either, but I think that's definitely a factor. I think that people don't want to deal with the Chiefs right now, and maybe for good reason. I could see why they wouldn't, especially somebody like Tennessee who's going to be competing with them. So, yeah, uh, round 1 in the books. We'll see what happens tomorrow, and we might even get back on here and throw out something for you after round 2 and 3 tomorrow. See how that plays out. I'm excited for it. A little worried about it and how things are going to fall, but I mean, it is what it is. We got to trust Veach, Andy Reid, all them guys. I think they got a plan. I'm sure. So let's just see how it goes.
Yeah, man, I'm with you. I'm ready for round 2 and round 3. I think Beach has got something good up his sleeve for tomorrow. I don't know what, but who
All right,
knows?
guys. Like, subscribe, hit the little bell. Let me get some notifications. Yeah, just give us a like for being up at 1 a.m. talking about this
Yeah, man.
crazy
And if
football
you're
stuff.
listening on Spotify, we appreciate you like tuning in and hitting us up twice a week. Like it's awesome. So
Right.
yeah, be sure to hit up our YouTube because we'll probably do some recaps of every round, but we might just throw up YouTube videos for the weekend. They're a little easier.
Yeah, it could be.
They're easier to get at and go, but yeah, look at this. We
Boiler up.
got we got George Karlaftis, guys. Come on, be happy.
I'm good with it. I'm good with it. Y'all have a good night. We'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, man. Peace. You guys be good.